Hello everybody, welcome to another Walking Dead No Man's Land video. This is going to be one of probably the final videos on 2.2 unless something else miraculously happens in the meantime. And this is just really from the forum. There's going to be no video footage of the game in this at all. Anything's going to be a very talky video, so I'm just let you know about that one in front. But over the weekend, I don't play over the weekend, I don't have time for family reasons, but over the weekend, this posts from the developers were just, I just don't know what the thing is really with it. I get the impression, if I was reading this from a completely outside perspective, like if I gave it to, say, I don't know, if it was what passerby on the street said, read this, and then play the game, they would think you're talking about two different things, and that's what it is. I think the developers' experience and impression I'm getting from their posts is completely different to what the actual player is experiencing. Are they playing the same game? In question, are they even playing the game? That begs the question as well, because what they're saying just does not make any sense whatsoever. They're either high as a kite, dumb as hell, or crazy, or a combination of the three. It's just crazy what they're doing. So there's going to be probably several topics to cover on this one, and then a little bit about the missions that finally dropped, Season 7 tie-in missions, and I'm going to start with that actually. I've just got off playing those as we speak about 15 minutes ago, and there's a video currently uploading with my initial live reaction thoughts on there. That'll probably be in the content creators section, the video vault section of the forum, so if you've not watched that video yet, follow that, go to that link in the forum and follow it, or you'll find it elsewhere on this channel as well. And having to think about it for a while, for these few minutes after I've played it, and digest what I've just experienced, the words, "Is that it?" spring to mind. It was something that sounded so exciting, but yet it's coming to play now, and it was just so bland and underwhelming. It was unreal. I mean, it was one very bland, basic mission. There's, those of you who haven't played it yet, the spoilers in regards to this. The first playthrough I had, I think, really low level survivors, and it was against just all bog standard normal walkers, and you literally had to survive 3 or 4 turns it was before you could open the RV door and then move to the exit zone and escape. And there's a hard mission. You got slightly higher survivors, slightly higher walkers, nowhere near maximum level you can get in the game, like level 20 or anything. There was like level 10 or so, and you got fatties involved this time, so it made it a little bit harder, but still very, very no challenge and over in a matter of minutes. And then the trial version, the first iteration of it, because you then use your own survivors and can repeat it 5 times, was against level 18 enemies, and again that posed no challenge with your own survivors. It was actually easier than the other 2 versions of it, and it's just that the mission was just so basic. There was nothing to it. I agree. What they've said is that it ties in with the episode, and it did. You could picture that happening outside of the episode, off camera basically, you know, something they didn't show you. So, points in that regards. Points in also it's another avenue to obtain tokens. What's not clear at this stage is, can you obtain the 250 Negan tokens from doing the challenge to its fullest or not? That's not very clear, because the first trial didn't award me any Negan tokens. I can't remember now if it awarded me Rick tokens either, but anyway. So that's a little bit of a query, but it was just so basic, I was led to believe, from well, I got the impression personally anyway, from reading what they told us about it, that it was going to be a series of missions that run alongside the TV show. But this was just, I don't know, just so underwhelming and basic and over in a flash of an eye. And then we also have the cooldown time of an hour, which I don't understand why that cooldown time's there. The only possible argument that you could have for it, and one of my guildmates mentioned this, was to help with healing. But then again, we don't need the cooldown timer for that. I've got nearly 30 survivors. You only use 2 in that mission, so I could run that mission technically 15 times if I wanted to. I don't need a cooldown timer. I don't need healing time, and if I do need time to heal, I'll just manually wait that hour or hour and a half for my characters to heal. I just don't see why the cooldown timer's there. It's just restrictive and just really preventing me obtaining, going through the content as quick as possible, which in total playtime is not going to take that long anyway, unless you throw some spokes in the wheels, which I'm sure they're going to do. They're going to throw harder walkers in there. But as it stands at the moment, there's just very little content added to the game in that feature. It was such a feature that could have been excellent, and at the moment it's just a little bit meh. And if it's just going to be a single mission every time, which it's going to be, let's face it, because they're not going to change the blueprint that they've set out there, it's a little disappointing, I have to say. So plus points ties in with the episode that's just been on the TV, and it's another avenue of getting tokens. And I also want to know as well, if a developer does watch this by any chance, what happens in the off season. There's only 8 episodes before we get the mid-season break. Are you going to do something in the off season, or are we just going to have that feature removed from us for a period of time while the show is off the air? Anyway, moving on to the forum now. Now this may go wrong because I am bringing up basically screenshots on the screen as I'm recording here. So if this goes completely wrong, bear with me. So here's the first. Yeah, you see what I mean? It's professional. This is it's completely professional and everything. And yeah, it's not that one. It's not that one either. I can't get rid of this, guys. I do apologise. It's one of these damn. It's one of these damn things. It's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? There we go, all's well in the world. Anyway, first post is, majority of these are by Shativi. I believe they are the lead developer of the game as it stands at the moment, and they only came into the game a little while ago. They weren't there from the start, as far as I believe. I don't know if they were working on the game beforehand, before they became like head developer or whatever role they're currently doing, or they came from outside the company. I don't know that, but this is the guy who's responding to us on the forum, who seems to be in charge and directing the way the game is generally going at the moment. That's my impression anyway. So if you are watching and that is wrong, feel free to correct me there. But these first few posts are in regards to high-end players, level 20 players. So we've upgraded our survivors to level 20 now, and we go to the trade goods shop. Now for the past few months, we've been getting level 19 gear. Always level 19 gear, without fail level 19 gear from the legendary crates. Testament to the fact that when I've upgraded my survivors to 20, I've scrapped all my level 19 gear. I have no intention of upgrading for quite a hefty amount of XP. And there was always 19s. You got them without fail. It was 19, 19, 19. And various other forum posters have confirmed that as well. It's not just me. We were getting guaranteed level 19 equipment. Not 18 or 17, which would be useless. We've got 19s. So update 2.2 had no changes to legendary gear drops. They work the same now as they did before the patch. This is randomness to what you get from these. Now, no. It didn't work like that. Not in the game we were playing anyway. May have been in the build you guys were playing, but not in our build it wasn't. The live build, we was getting guaranteed level 19 equipment. You could do it at all times of the day, 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, once a month, whatever. You would get a level 19 piece of equipment if you were a maxed out player. Now if you're a maxed out player, you're getting 19s or 20s. 19s are useless. Which leads on to post number 2. This is where it goes wrong again. Oh, it worked. So again, it reiterates no change to the formula of these tables for this feature. Should work exactly as it did before the update. It looks like other folks are getting level 20 stuff from theirs, so hope you do too. Right. As it stands at the moment, I have made 10 pulls from legendary crates at the discounted rate of the 5,000 trade goods apiece, and I have today received 3 pieces of level 20 equipment and 7 pieces of level 19 equipment, which is useless to me. Which leads on to, I think, the next post. No, it doesn't. It's all gone wrong anyway. Leads on to the next post. Told you it's a professional outfit here. I thought I'd staggered these in order, but I obviously haven't done so. So bear with me while I find the correct post, otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. No, it's not that one. Oh, it's this one. There we go. So the in-app purchase bundles, soft currency purchases do not follow the same rules. I disagree with you that level max minus 1 gear is instantly obsolete. It is when you've been collecting it for the past month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you've got everything that you need to have, and you were guaranteed it before. As he's put there, higher level gear is more desirable. Yes, desirable because we've been duped into getting this miraculous discount. So the discount period allows players to find new gear that better fits their plans. How can hell can it fit your plans when it's random? It's random luck what you get. You can't plan for anything in this game. There's so many layers of RNG on this game now. It is just unbelievably ridiculous. It's just crazy madness, doesn't make sense, and more traits are being introduced, more heroes are being introduced, more facets that you can, combinations of things you can get are being introduced, which just dilutes the pool even more and makes it very difficult to get anything that is desirable. And I mean, these crates are normally 7,500 trade goods as well, not 5,000. Do you understand how long it takes to earn 7,500 trade goods in terms of fuel? I mean, if you average at 500 trade goods per successful raid, you're looking at, what's that? That's 10's 5,000, isn't it? Another 2,500, so 15 raids. That's if you're successful in all of them. 15 raids times 2 fuel a piece is 30 fuel. 30 fuel, 10 minutes a piece is 300 minutes, which equates to what, 5 hours. So you're looking at 5 hours. 5 hours. All those missions, you roll the dice, you get a piece of level 19 equipment, which instantly goes in the scrap pile. You can understand why people are pissed. If you can't understand why people are pissed, then there's no hope. I mean, before we were guaranteed level 20 stuff, and you're saying there's nothing being changed. Which leads on to the final one in this topic, which you're probably got a sneak peek of. This one's from the other person from NG here, and at this point in time in the game, it's not possible to reach a level where level 20 equipment is guaranteed. Right? Why is it not possible? You own the game, you own the code, you designed the game. It was possible before to get guaranteed level 19 equipment when you were maxed out. Why is it not possible now? You can do pretty much anything you want in regards to the code. You've chosen not to do it. not possible is a load of nonsense. You've made a conscious choice not to do it for people to waste resources. That's the long and the short of it. And what they've been said in those other posts before that I showed is just utter nonsense. I'm sorry, but it is. It's just been done to people waste resources, and that's what's happening. I can say I'm running at a 30% success rate on receiving level appropriate gear at the moment, and I will say of that 3 items that I have received, one of them straight in the scrap anyway, because its traits are a complete load of bollocks. Because there's so many traits, it just was a weapon that just didn't make sense to itself. It just, one trait counteracted the other trait, and no, straight in the bin. So you have made a conscious decision to screw players over. Long and the short of it, that is a fact. You can make it guarantee level 20 equipment for maxed out players. You've simply chosen not to. Therefore, you've chosen to screw people over, basically. So that's the end of that one. On to the next topic. So that's that one out the way. And bear with me again while I find the correct post. It's not that one. It's not that one. I did have these in order, you know. Right, this one about the nerfs that we've had. This may come as a shock, but I agree with what they've changed. But I don't agree with how much they've changed it by. As I said in one of my other videos, nothing should be absolute, nothing should be 100% success rate, nothing should be 100% fail rate. There should always be that margin of success or margin for failure, regardless of what the task is that's trying to be achieved by the player or even the enemy attacking you. So, and this comment that I got was just completely, I was dumbfounded really. They've put the downgrades in now to affect the smallest number of players possible, because they're expecting a huge influx of new players. So basically they didn't want new players to come in and immediately get nerfed by things. That's what it's saying there. Now if they're planning downgrades for anything, we should do them ASAP to make the amount of time players have to buy or invest in things that will be downgraded smaller, for saving even small number of people from being overly affected if possible. Now that sentence there just riles me up enormously as well, because I've never played a game in my life before where they have not notified these changes in advance. Up to literally the second before the update dropped with all these nerfs to all the equipment and the gameplay and combat, they were selling gear based on the old system. Up to the very second that the game was still live before it needed the mandatory update. And that's just obscene, to be honest with you. That is obscene in my opinion. That's like, let me think of a good analogy for you there. Say you live in a private residential block, and it's mandatory, or a residential area, you know, an enclosed residential community, like Alexandra is on the show. For example, say it's part of the building regulations that everybody has their house painted pink for some godforsaken reason, and that same management company is there selling the paint to you freely, so everybody can keep their property maintained in beautiful pink colour, and the community is a real sight to behold. But then, unbeknownst to the community, the managers of the community are changing the rules. They don't want pink anymore. They're going to make it compulsory that everybody paints their house blue. But whilst they're profiteering from selling this pink paint to all the community residents who are lapping up because it's a requirement for them to live there and maintain their properties, they don't tell them about this. So as soon as Salt Joe blogs his big haul of pink paint because his yearly refresher is due, he's finished painting his house and everything, and the next hour, all of a sudden it's a requirement that you paint your house blue, and then lo and behold, I can hawk all this blue paint to you now as well. And what's to stop me doing that in future? That's basically what you've done. It's just not on. If you're aware there's changes going to be involved, you can't sell people equipment and goods that are going to be worthless and useless. It's just immoral. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's just underhand, it's borderline fraudulent. It's just disgusting, to be honest with you, and really, really disappointed. It's just, I mean, like I say, up to the literal second the game went down, you could purchase gear with the traits, which are completely worthless now. Turning to the traits themselves, as I say, I agree they needed changing because nothing should be absolute. Dodge was too powerful, but it shouldn't have been reeled into the amount that it is now. 50-50 would have done me, but at the moment it's below 50-50 and it's bordering on, yeah, you know, what's the point of it? But the biggest one's interrupt, as we all know. Now, they've not actually changed how interrupt works, to be honest with you, in terms of the percentages. The percentages are still indeed the same. If you've got gold, you will 100% interrupt an enemy, providing you now don't get a body shot. And it's the body shots that are actually the problem. As I mentioned in my first update 2.2 video, I did an experiment where I noted down all my Overwatch attacks to get an idea what I did, and I can't remember the exact figures now because I disposed of that sheet of paper, but I did easily over 1,000. I think I did over 1,100 Overwatch attacks, and I was running at a rate of 34.5%. I was that actually interrupted the enemy. So if we say a third were interrupts. Third actually struck the enemy with a full contact shot and activated the interrupt perk. And this was on gold interrupt perks, by the way, as well, which were guaranteed 100%. So that means 2 out of 3 shots were a body shot. So the problem is there's too many damn body shots happening. And bear in mind, this was a combination of low-level challenge missions as well. So I was far superior to the walkers, but I was still getting that volume of body shots happening as well. Obviously, if you haven't got the gold interrupt trait as well, the silver one's only 80% success rate. So even if you're working on using a silver one and you don't get a body shot, you've then obviously got to factor in the chance of success from the silver trait, or God forbid anybody uses the bronze trait. But there's that as well. So your percentage of actual interrupt shots are going to be even less. And the one thing that they've just seemingly not thought about at all is melee classes. Melee has been gradually marginalised in this game straight from the outset, really. Back a year ago when I first started playing, bruisers were pretty viable to play as because of their stun ability. That got taken away from anything +3 or above. Now they've been nerfed even further. And that's before we even get into the interrupt. And the thing is with a melee combatant takes more risks. They have to get face to face. They're putting themselves in the line of danger. So they need to be able to interrupt it. And plus, a melee attacker should have less chance of getting a body shot. They don't actually generally have to aim a weapon as such. They're in control manually of their weapon. So chances of hitting a body shot when you're going for the head should be a lot lower. And the thing is, if a melee combatant doesn't interrupt, you're pretty much screwed. That guy's, severely injured at best. It's just completely marginalised 50% of the actual classes that they have in the game, and they've just not thought that through whatsoever. The mind just absolutely boggles, to be honest with you. I just don't. As I say, are they playing something different than what we're playing? Because what we're experiencing as players, what we know as players, just doesn't add up with what they're saying. Now, following on from these downgrades that happened, I haven't actually got the post on my screen at the moment, or a copy of it, but the same person mentioned that it's the pain before the game because they have loads of buffs coming. And I've never known a game to do that. If you've got loads of buffs coming, here's a little hint. Why didn't you hold off for it? Why didn't you do the debuffs and the buffs at the same time? The answer being, based on that first sentence there, what they want to do is they've pissed off their existing customer base. They didn't want to piss off new people coming in because new players came in, got a big debuff, they're going to leave. They're going to think, "Oh, sod this, sod this for a game of cricket. I'm going home. I'm not playing this game anymore because we've just been severely weakened and everything." But now, what they can do is new players can come in, and all of a sudden we've been buffed, we've been made stronger. Oh, this game's brilliant. I'm going to carry on playing this a bit longer. That's what they've done. But a sensible company, and do them both at the same time. Debuff and buff at the same time. I just don't understand the thinking of why you've debuffed people for X amount of weeks and then you're going to buff us in other areas. Questionable whether them buffs are going to be useful or not, because I don't really have faith anymore in anything you guys do, because there's always some cock up along the way that screws things up enormously. But do them both at the same time. Madness. And last one, this one occurred last night. This was about the buffing of no, wrong one again. I might get a correct one first time at some point, but not in this video because this is the last one. This one was a question or a thread in regards to the buffing of human enemies in the game. Now, I managed to get the Woodbury challenge mission up to required level 24, and the human enemies had in excess of 6,000 hit points. I think 6.5 they maybe had. So that's 6.5 times 2, because they've obviously got 2 health bars, which currently makes it stronger than a big fat walker. But the difference being, a big fat walker isn't running around with a long range rifle doing massive amounts of damage to you. And then this post cropped up. Oh, sorry, I'll just backtrack a little bit there. And again, I agree that they needed strengthening slightly, but not to the level that they've done. I think the Terminator would have a hard time taking down these humans at the moment. You know what I mean? And if you call his mate the Predator as well, and the Alien and anything else you want, Robocop, get them all in and everything, they would have a hard time taking these guys out, because if they're at level 24 already got 6,000 hit points, or 12,000 with the 2 bars, what are they going to have if, for God forbid, we can stretch that further and get to level 25, 30, 25, 26, 27, 30, even that we could get to it old? It's just it's just madness. And what the bugs you even more as well is, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but this is something that always annoyed the hell out of me with human enemies, is the 2 health bars. And this should apply to our survivors as well. It makes no sense that when you get the green health bar down and say it's got 5 hit points left, you have to attack the enemy again and only do 5 hit points of damage. Whether you could hit them for 10,000, but it doesn't matter, because you can only knock them down that 5 hit points worth of damage. It's just absolutely crazy and beyond belief. There needs to be some kind of overlap introduced, especially if they're going to persist with this nonsense of the way they've super buffed the human enemies. They need to have an overlap. Say 50% of the remaining damage gets extended into the second bar, because then you're not going to wipe through that bar immediately, but you are going to make some impact to it. That's what should happen. It just makes no sense. Like I say, you could knock a guy down to 1 hit point, and my shooter at the moment, critical hit, does about 5,500 damage. So I could do a 5,500 damage shot with my shooter on that guy with 1 hit point, and I will do 1 hit point of damage. That's not right in anybody's world, is it? It just makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway, digress back onto the topic at hand here, is the reason they've come out with. The reason for rebalancing these enemies was to make sure that they weren't walker bait like they had been. We want players to engage them, and for situations to be hectic, tense, not for players to simply pass turns and then stroll past feeding walkers once the humans have been killed. We took differentials between challenge stars earned. We will look at differentials between challenge stars earned in walker only and mixed enemy challenges, and if we overdid it, we'll make further adjustments. Right, I'm not really centering it on the second paragraph there. The main is the first paragraph, which I call utter bullshit on, and the reason why I call utter bullshit on that one is simply because if you weren't intending for us to use walkers feeding on AI human enemies as a tactic, you A, wouldn't have made that a feature in the first place, and secondly, you wouldn't have made them eat the fallen body of the enemy for 3 damn turns. You would not have the feature in at all, or it would just be 1 turn thing and over and done with. The fact is, you've made it 3 turns, and the fact that this feature exists in the first place is saying that is a tactic. That is something you want to employ. But also on the flip side of that as well, you need to improve the AI of the human enemies, because the human enemies seem to have want to attack us rather than the walkers and leave themselves open to getting hit in the first place. So better AI, and that whole post is just utter bloody nonsense. I know she, I don't even know if it's he or she, wasn't there when human enemies got introduced into the game, but the fact is that the feature exists that the walkers chow down on the fallen human enemies, and the length of time they do it for means it is a tactic, and you was intending us to do that. So yeah, utter bloody nonsense, that post. That is utter bloody nonsense. But I think that's it for this video. I can't really think of anything else really. I just they're not going to change this, guys, by the way, as well. They're not going to take a step back on it, because they're playing something different to what we're playing, unfortunately. They're making changes to a game we're not playing, because it's just crazy. I just don't. It's just every. And do you know what the main annoyance is as well? Is they don't get the main point. I keep hearing, especially from Shativi there, that people are always resistant to change. They will calm down and everything. It's not the fact that it's changed. It's the fact that it's the time, money, and effort people have put in, and you just basically reset the game on them. All their equipment is, pretty much worthless now, or severely hampered by the changes that you've made. And the game's been out a year. It's not like the game's come out and then we've lost like a month's worth of striving for stuff. It's a year, and some people spend a hell of a lot of money on this game, and you just don't seem to acknowledge that. You've not even acknowledged that in any of the posts, that the money people have expended on the game, buying gold so they can open more crates, buying gold so they can heal and do more outpost missions, to get more trade goods, to get more crates, to try and get gear that is useful. And then when they finally got the gear that's useful, you've made it turn into a chocolate water pistol. Do you know what I mean? That's what you've done, and basically said to everybody, you've got to start again, you've got to spend all this gold again, and you've got to, do everything you've done for the past 12 months to get now things that work with the new lay of the land. And then you'll do it all again, and you wonder why people are not happy. And I'll leave everything on that thought there.